Cominciamo. Sì, ecco, adesso è tutto a posto. Um, Hello, everybody. I hope you guys okay. It's been a long time. It's been 2 months since I haven't uploaded or done any interview at the moment. So today we're gonna have a very recurring special guest that I've interviewed him quite a few times on my podcast now. Um, His name is Francesco Sani. He's a content creator of the One Great World Network. Okay, you can find his content there. He's been a content creator for many years. He's joining me on the battle for against evil with many other great minds. So welcome to Francesco. How are you, Francesco?
Yes, not bad, all things considering. So thank you for having me on once again. It's a pleasure to be here once
Absolutely
again.
no
So
problem. No problem. Pleasure of mine as well. Let's start. Introduce yourself. I'm going to ask you a quick question. What would you think about the situation that's currently happening on planet Earth? What do you see people, the consciousness of the people of Earth going? You think it's improving or it's getting worse? Your take on?
well, I wouldn't want to appear too negative, but I've tried to, because I hear sometimes the various takes of alternative media and independent, broadcasters and journalists, and even here in Italy. And some of them are more realistic, some of them are a little bit less
Yeah.
realistic. There's a lot of nonsense. So I won't deny that. Yes, there is quite a few people that know how things are going on a certain level, on a certain capacity, especially after all the 2020 charade. However, yes, I'm seeing uh, I'm seeing the situation not improving very much, actually getting worse. From what I'm seeing, just trying to be realistic. And many people in the alternative community, even here in Italy, are saying that the something's changing, the wind is changing because Trump has been elected. And even if we don't, yeah, even if we don't
Wow.
believe, even if we are careful, we have to be careful about politicians. But at least this change in elections going more towards conservative. It's a sign of hope, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with. I simply don't agree with them. I don't think it's a sign of hope. I think it's actually maybe even worse because now they will excuse government even more. They do the same evil things and they are just uh, compounding all the tyranny and bringing the tyrannical agenda forward. And now they're even less criticized because all the rebels, so-called rebels, or many of them are back into politics and are back into supporting political figures, political characters. So yes, I don't see that as a sign of the as a sign of hope. People went back into politics actually, and that was the whole game. Like after all this, I mean, COVID, the COVID era brought some people awakened, so to speak, but many people like 2016, many people were brought back into politics.
Exactly.
And that's the
This
point we have, I think.
polarizing
It's
dialectic, yeah.
yes, yeah. So that's the point we are in. I think right now it's more people wanna hope for a change in coming from some politician or some or political situation or some some political some situation evolving somewhere, and but yeah, we are actually going more and more towards being towards perfected slavery, I think.
Yeah, they're perfecting
And
it.
if you see
They're
all the yes, yes,
perfecting it. I mean, they're perfecting it very well, the system of slavery, unfortunately. And it seems like people that don't want to wake up, they love to talk about nonsensical stuff. They think that the solution is a certain type of slavery system, a certain type of government. You hear a lot of people in alternative media, very sadly, who bought this style that Hitler somehow was the good guy. This revisionist nonsense, not understanding that just reacting to a Hegelian dialect. Then neither sides were the good guy. That's what people need to understand because it's still fucking government. Those are gangster, evil gangster fighting amongst each other who have zero interest about the people of the country that they're ruling over. Because the people they're ruling over are the slaves. If people understood what government and the so-called notion, conception, nonsensical conceptual idea of authority called government, it would have been a lot easier. They all want to focus on seemingly different aspects of the two sides, you know? Oh, that side's killed many people. My side is the good side because we did this. That side killed that many people. They did that. Uh, you know, all this kind of nonsense. They want to accuse each other of wrongdoings when point of fact neither of the two sides are the good guys. Those are violent gangsters
and
controlled
you
by
yeah.
an occult criminal syndicate that lies behind the monetary system. Look at the people who finance Adolf Hitler and the eugenics centers uh, during Germany, Nazi Germany, and the United States in the Anglo American Empire. You know, they're all both the progeny of the cult that run this planet.
Yeah, and if you
That's
think,
what
I
people
mean,
don't understand.
just think about what like what what Trump is doing, for example. I think we talked about it last time a little bit, and
Yeah, of
I
course.
will,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did.
So it's he's completely destroying freedom and all the principles and all the principles of liberty, of the United States. So
Of course,
he's
yeah.
actually accelerating the destruction of America, I think. And all the so-called all the fake rebels out there are on his side now because they think he's the hero. And the same thing in Europe with all the populists and all those people who are. I mean, in Europe, there's not even a case for having some libertarian principle. It's like they're all authoritarian. They're all
Violent
strict.
gangster, the violent people,
Yeah.
the slavery supporter. That's I call it the statist out there.
If you look at you just look at all these people like Orban in Hungary and Marine Le Pen in France. They are regarded as the heroes in the alternative community when they are authoritarian, completely authoritarian people like like the leftists and all the other mainstream politicians. So
Exactly.
they're nationalistic and militaristic, and they're all for the police and giving lots of power to police forces. And it's like what they are, yeah. Now, I mean, with the right-wing government now in Italy, first of all, they are going along with all the agendas, especially environmentally, and that's another interesting thing that I'm gonna talk about in a few days, I think, because I'm just gonna introduce it. Not gonna focus on it too much, but I think the next big thing that they're gonna do is like this. It's gonna be maybe some blackout, some
I
energy
agree.
blackout, like they
Yeah.
did like
In
it happened in
Spain,
Spain and
Portugal,
Portugal.
yeah. And France, some
Uh,
parts of France. It's
yes,
crazy.
and that nobody's talking about it anymore. They only talk about it for like one day because then it immediately came out that it was because of their stupid green, green energy grid that doesn't work for a
Yeah,
whole
it's not
country.
that. That's a distraction. It's them doing it on purpose for what's coming.
Well, yeah, well that's how they're gonna do it because
Yeah,
but remember what they said at the very beginning. They said not many people remember, I think, but they said it might be a cyber attack.
yeah,
So that's interesting because I think because now in Italy they're talking about getting more green energy because they have all the horrible the solar panels there in Sardinia and some other places in the south, and they say they want to get more green energy from those places. So I think it's only a matter of time because before it goes, before there is another blackout. I don't know exactly how it's gonna play out, but I think they're gonna blame it actually on. This time they're gonna continue to blame it on cyber attacks, maybe from I don't know Russia, China, or
Iran,
Palestine.
Iran. Yeah,
Iran, yes, or the Houthis or
the
whatever.
Houthis, the Hamas. They're gonna say
Yes,
Hamas or Hezbollah.
and
Oh my
yes,
God.
and I think that's gonna be the next big. There's a lot of predictive programming that already has been done in many, as usual, in like many movies. And
Yeah,
so, like even in Italy here there was a series. I haven't seen it because it's probably horrible to watch like many Italian TV series. Uh, but
I
it's
would
called
agree. Yeah.
but it's called, yeah, but it's called Blackout, and it's actually about like this blackout happens someplace in the north in the Alps, and then they find out that it's because of a nuclear like catastrophe caused
Yeah.
by the Russians. So and
Yeah.
that just came out and just ended in 2025, actually at the beginning of this year in January and February, and then we had the Spanish blackout right
Yeah,
after.
I'll tell
So
you
I think
something.
no, I just want to say that I think the elements are there to make me suspect that this is the next big thing, and they'll use it to restrict the internet and also for other things that are maybe even going to be worse, like energy rationing and possibly some other type of war economy measures. You know,
Yeah.
but energy rationing probably among chief among them. So I think, yeah, we're gonna have some interesting times ahead as usual.
Interesting, interesting. Whenever a week before the blackouts happened, I was in Mallorca in Spain for
Hmm.
vacation, and, and as soon as I came back to England, that's where the blackouts happened. It was a Monday. I remember very well. I was going to do some shoppings, and I was on the phone in on YouTube specifically. In the so-called YouTube on the video recommended video section, there were like BBC, Sky News, all the news outlet video about the blackouts in Spain. I was like, what? Then I went on Google searching, yeah, well, blackouts in Portugal, Spain, France. Like, there were some people talking about in even other parts of Europe, and some people mentioned even Italy as well. And I called my parents and my family, they live in Italy, and I asked them, is there any blackouts there? They told me, no, there's nothing. And so I was like, wow. They didn't know. And There
No,
were there were talks about, oh, the Spanish government trying to open an investigation or how it happened, who did this. Right after, the day after, nothing is ever mentioned on the news ever again. Not, you don't hear, not here to this day. You
no,
don't, because yeah, it's planned.
exactly.
They did that. They had to play the role. Oh no, you see, it's sorry for this inconvenience. No, they plan all of this. They actually, it's scripted. Okay, it's planned, and the interpretation, the interpreters, they had to play the role. You know, the actors, the politician, very well scripted.
Yeah,
What,
but
what would
yeah,
you say about
it
that?
was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time because with the, I mean, over there they use a lot of their solar energy from all these panels that can't sustain a whole country. So it was only a matter of time, and obviously they are gonna use it for their own purposes, obviously. So they are setting the stage for something bigger than even than that. So
Yeah, I'm ready. I already bought a lot of prepping. I have the backup food. I need to stock up more water. I got a lot of medicine, protective gears, everything. I'm ready. I obviously need to buy more stuff. But I started last year to start prepping. Right
that's
after
good. Good.
Israel got attacked by Iran, so-called attacked by Iran, the Zionist entity called Israel, a bane.
Yeah.
Okay, and which we're gonna talk about Israel right now. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. We'll talk about government, anarchy, natural law, Hegelian dialects, everything, police and everything, occult. But what I was saying, I started prepping last year, since last year in 2024. All this because I know it's all happening now. They're doing it slowly. They even talk about it because it's all planned. They want to create a one world government, folks. And the cult, in order to achieve their goals for war, total human enslavement and world domination, they operate through dialectics. You have one side who is the globalist side who wants to take over all the world, and the other side, the so-called regional imperialist, the so-called nationalist country, the so-called superpowers who have the seemingly have their national interest. They want to rule the farm without this influence of foreign entities. They want to maintain national interests with some regional dominance. You know, those are gangsters fighting amongst each other, controlled by the big cult that run this planet, Satanism and dark Luciferianism. What would you say about that?
Well, I mean, we if you wanted evidence that there is a world government basically already, you just look at 2020 and the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
So all this and the environmentalist agenda, I mean, that clearly shows that there is a global direction. Uh, so I don't think they're gonna. I just don't think they're gonna use total war because that will destroy. I mean, today global war, even conventional, will destroy pretty much everything. So
Exactly.
uh,
Imagine use non-conventional, which is nuclear weapons and missiles.
yeah, yeah, nuclear obviously they can do that. They're just. I mean, it's good for fear and it's good for
Exactly.
keeping the people in fear, but you know you're not gonna have you know all the big weapons in the arms industry and all these people are gonna you know stop making money because you know this planet is gonna be extinct pretty much. But even
You tell me about it. I mean, tell me about it because that's what's gonna happen.
yeah, but even conventional warfare will destroy all the structure that they built to you know spy on every one of us and keep everybody completely you know totally under surveillance. So all that's gonna be is gonna be at risk with the global war. So I don't think they're gonna go that way. I think it's more like all the scarcity is gonna be pushed a lot. As I said, there's probably gonna be energy rationing because
Russian, yeah.
they would say that with green to save the planet.
Communism
Yes,
at its finest.
exactly. You know,
Communism, we're gonna give you the government decides, which is pretty much all form of totalitarian regime, is socialism. Okay, I just saw one of the revisionists. Sorry to interrupt you. Uh, Europa, the last battle, a nonsensical documentary where there's a section that the guy says that socialism, true socialism, is not bad. He's quoting the definition of socialism done by Hitler, saying that socialism is not. I mean, people are just dumb. This is the people that infesting the alternative media. They don't even
yeah,
know. He doesn't even know what socialism actually is. That it's the that is behind all form of totalitarianism, the ideology of socialism, which is government controlling everything, centralizing everything, controlling the means of production, and
and ultimately it's coercive government. Like it's the
coercive
essence
government.
of
Yeah,
coercive government. So all these people that think voting the I don't know the Front National in France or or who was the who are the other people? I don't know, but all the so-called populists.
yeah.
It's socialism. It's people have to realize that they just ultimately they're yes they're being pro-authoritarian it's just another it just differs slightly on the methods with which
They're gonna achieve slavery. Yeah,
they come to power. Yes, they achieve slavery or with the rhetoric or some differences
yeah.
slightly very slight because I mean if you think about it it's all collectivism.
Collective, exactly. That's a lot of people in the alternative media when they want to defend a psychopath like Hitler. They don't understand that all of them, there is no such a thing as good and bad when it comes to government. The Allies were evil. Okay, look at some of the things they've done. Okay, they
Mm.
were eugenicists. A lot of the eugenicist practice that Hitler, the National Socialists, and the communists, uh, they took, they they got it from the Anglo-American playbook. Okay, the United States and the British were big eugenicists. Look at the eugenicist law that Winston Churchill and the United States government at that time, and still is now. Every single government, the cult that run this planet, the government, it comes from the ideology of Satanism, which is that has one of its tenets, eugenics as one of its tenets, because in order for the government to control the population, they had to some kind of engage some type of eugenics program, that methods to control the breed of the population. It's not that difficult to understand this. It's a little bit complex, but the point I'm trying to make, they all want to compare this just by into the Hegelian dialect. When I'm not understanding that all of them pretty much use the same tactics for control and enslavement. It's the method that differs. What would you say about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's yeah, those are controlled dialectics, and
Yeah.
even if you think about communism, it's actually
International
uh,
social.
yes, and it was I mean it
The
was basically born in uh, uh, Paris, Berlin, and London,
London, yeah. People they want to say it's a
and
Jewish,
then
it's all Jewish created communism. That it comes out of Judaism. I mean, yeah, some of them, some of the communists, But those are atheistic Jews, not even actual Jews. Okay,
Yes, yes.
but those are Satanists. This is what people don't understand. They want to say it's all Jewish that came up with communism. What about
Well,
Giuseppe Mazzini, Gregos by birth, Filippo Buonarroti, some revolutionary? Okay, they
yeah,
paved the way of communism in Europe.
yes, yeah, because that then
But those
they
are
were,
Satanists. That's what people don't.
yeah,
Sorry,
they
go
weren't,
ahead.
they no, they weren't able to. I mean, they had to sort of experiment how these systems will go in, like they did that in Germany with National Socialism, and I mean in Italy with fascism.
Yeah,
But and then communism they did it in the Soviet Union, and followed by China.
China. Yeah,
But those ideologies weren't born there, so they're not native to Russia and Germany. I mean, yes, Germany partly yes, but communism specifically. You find the birthplace of these ideologies. You often find, as I said, in Western Europe and sometimes in the United States also. So we have to realize, the experiments that they try to do then elsewhere, because it's gonna be, maybe it was more difficult at the time to do them in their own countries. But now, after all is said and done, they made us believe that Nazism and fascism are dead. Communism ended in 1989, and and then they are just merging these two systems into their, as you said, their global domination paradigm. So
it's a
we are,
dialectic. The cult. Yeah, like you said,
and if you think about it, I mean, we always had socialism. Like we were, the fact that we had government itself,
it's a socialist man. Yeah,
it's a socialist mindset. That's the socialist.
that's what
We
people don't
will
understand.
say, oh no, because I voted the right wing party. It's the it's very clear to see in Europe. It's a little bit less clear to see, except nowadays, I think, in the States, because at least there were some, conservative, maybe more in the, in the old days, I'd say, that were more constitutionally leaning, and I'm talking about the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Like they were more leaning to that,
To a
but that
libertarian monarchical society, which is still
yeah, more
slavery.
more or less, yes,
Yeah, still slavery though.
yes, it still is, but in a, so over there in the States they have, that's why I think there's still a small percentage that are more on the sort of liberty-oriented mindset. But here in Europe, it's tragical, because there never was a real culture of freedom. Like we
Exactly.
always had, we had the empire, we had the empire, and we have kings and empire. So,
Yeah.
and those days were actually better than what we have now, because at the time of the struggle between papacy and empire, living conditions were worse. Yes, there was less comfort.
Mhm.
But as far as how then it evolved into the national state, then it was a tragedy for freedom, and I mean there wasn't really a freedom oriented mindset in Europe. Was very much harder to develop, uh, in continental Europe especially. So
Exactly.
we're in trouble here.
Yeah, but that's what people don't understand. The freedom that's talking about government is that to protect the freedom, to protect ensure safety. Government do not do such a thing. Okay, they use the 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 rhetoric of safety, ensuring safety and protection of rights in, for the reason for the very reason, because they want what they want. It's control of the people and the resources. It is to enslave. For the justification, that those are justification that they use under the guise of protection and safety. But it's what it is. It's slavery. It's control of the people, because they view people every rulers. Okay, the politician, the president, the prime minister, the king, the queen, dictator, chancellor, whatever. Okay, the czar, the pope. Those are your rulers. Okay, they're not your servant. People want to say the government that should serve the people to ensure that the people are safe, guarantee better living condition, quality of life. All this nonsense.
And that's going
They
away,
do
by
that
the
under
way.
the
So
guise of control. They want control. What they care about every ruler throughout history, okay, or what they don't give a damn about the people. They use all these semantics, these tactics, because what they want to achieve is control. Because in order to control the people, they need consent from the people. So they need some kind of methods and tactics to achieve that control. Okay? People who say, oh, Hitler, the German people under Hitler, they were it was basically heaven on earth for them. Yeah, true, but they were slaves nonetheless. They were slaves treated better than the other slaves. The German did not consider German people, and you know who I'm talking about. You know the
yes,
other ethnic groups, they were not considered Germans in Germany when Hitler was in power, but they were slaves nonetheless. That's the mindset of the statists, okay, compared to the mindset of a real anarchist. Statists, they want to gauge they con- they want to gauge the measurement of how a successful government is run, how a successful government is based how well the slaves are treated, how well the slaves are treated, instead of if the people are actually free or not. You know, they want to confuse how well the slaves are treated with whether the people are free or not. You know, which
exactly.
has nothing, they're not, which it has nothing to do with whether the people are free or not. Okay,
No, we don't have to confuse rights
rights
with comforts.
with comfort. Yeah, they think that they think a government they want to gauge the measurement of success, how good and bad the government is based on how many things they are allowed, certain citizens are allowed to do in that country, in that farm, you know? Basically, if they have better rights, better condition, living condition, there is not degeneracy, there's all this crappy nonsense, not understanding that the rulers don't give a shit about that. You guys are the slaves. That's what people don't want to hear. That this is the minds. This is the force again in the dialectic between nationalism and communism. You know, they don't want to hear that. A lot of people, because they have the mindset of the statist mindset. You know, they
Yes,
have the statist mindset.
I had a small. Well, it wasn't really a debate, but sometimes I went to an event and there were some people saying to me that actually they were confusing they were confusing the living conditions and no, standard of living and commodities and comforts with freedom and rights.
No,
So they were saying that but the government at least it gave us all these things and now we have nice things and before we didn't have those. But for example, I make you an
like the
example. Like
slaves that they are.
yeah,
They don't
yeah,
understand. They give you all of these good things, better condition of better standard of living, in exchange of what? What do they get in return? Blind, blindfold obedience, blind obedience to authority. You're not there to question the authority. Doesn't matter whether it's national socialism or communism. okay, or any government, any authority figure. You don't question the government. If you do, you get punished. That's the definition of being a slave. You're not allowed to question your own rulers because that's what it's rulership. I don't even like to euphemize any of these words, saying that they want to euphemize. Oh, those are elective representatives, the so-called leadership, elected officials. You know what would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, we are faced with the with the wall of the statist mindset that it's kind of a problem
It's
to
very
breach.
difficult.
It's very difficult because some people even say we actually have to thank the powers that be for all the freedoms that we enjoy now.
It's comical.
And again, they are confusing. As I told you before, there were times in our past that before all before the concept of the nation state
Nation
and
state,
its
yeah.
efficiency. For example, living conditions. Yes, life was harsher in general, but was very difficult for was more difficult to impose, like to be efficient in tax collecting,
Yeah.
in rec-
Slavery, taxation.
in
Yeah.
recruiting, soldiers for the local lord or for the empire that was far away, and people didn't care about care much about it. So there was, if you were, yes, there were like serfs and slaves for a time, but if you
Oh, we
if you
are
if you were
slaves.
if you were some, yeah, we are too, but yeah, in a different way. But if you were somebody that had property, that tended to remain, that was actually your property and not somebody else's property, unless there was, like, maybe, yeah, wars, invasions, etc. You might lose it, but like today, even the like today there is pretty much no real property. So because if you don't pay taxes on things, they're not yours anymore. So
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. People they don't understand that property tax, which is extortion fee, basically giving extortion fee your fruit of your labor to a violent intercessor called the government, violent, immoral entity called government. You have to give some parts of your fruit of your labor in order to keep your property intact, going, in order to live in your property, inside your property. I mean, there's no more definition of slavery than this. And if you don't pay the extortion fee, the property tax, the house gets sequestered from you, gets taken away from you. I mean, you you would think, oh, maybe if I have if I'm living under this system, well, I'm not free, I'm a slave. You would think people may understand this concept, but they don't, unfortunately, sadly.
no, no, they
They
don't.
think, I mean, it's an avalanche of nonsense and ignorance out there, you know, which is sad.
Yeah, it is. It is. And just think about yeah, I don't know. Just I sort of feel that we are just here waiting for the next thing to happen, and then we have to explain to everybody the same things all over,
All over again. What do you
all over
think?
again.
What do you think can it be done? Do you think an anarchical society based on which is the optimal and the natural state of every being? Okay, this is what humans supposed to live under, a society with no rulers because we're not slaves. Okay, okay. A society based on true freedom and a voluntary society when there's no coercion, meaning the interaction between individuals is voluntary. This is what it should be. You think it's achievable at this time? You think can it be done now?
Not not right now, absolutely not. Um, but can it be in the future? I really don't know. I don't know where this is all gonna go in the very far away future, but distant future. But as far as the short term, even medium term, no, I don't see people going in that direction. It's pretty obvious. So
Yeah.
it seems that people are doubling down in their
Exactly.
want in their
You're
want
not wrong, brother.
slave for being enslaved more and more. So yeah, I see. Frankly, I don't see great times ahead of us. I see dark times ahead of us. So
Especially,
sometimes I don't even wanna imagine for the people that are born now or that are kids now.
yeah. It's
Sometimes I don't even want to imagine how it's gonna be.
and when folks people think, oh, nothing is gonna happen, no wars, it's all fear mongering. Okay. You won't be laughing when they're gonna cut the power off and shut the grid down and
And I mean,
you'll
I don't.
see. You'll see what's coming. In Spain, people were panicking 2 months ago. When was that? Yeah, last month in April. I saw the image. People were panicking in Spain. The traffic lights went off, and that was during the day. Let's not forget it happened during the broad day. It was a nice sunny day, blue sky, clear day. And that's where the blackout happened. Imagine if it were during the middle of the night, cold weather. Okay, they were even nice to do that at that time. You know, and people panicked. They were scared. They didn't know what to do. Just saying, folks. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, and
Uh,
yeah, that's what I thought when it happened. I said that's the next because I already had a few hints about that this was gonna happen, especially the thing about that they're gonna blame it on a cyber attack, and I mean the news is like constantly saying that the internet now is just it's like the old west, as they say, even though it's not it's not true. It's not true the way they characterize. But when something chaotic happens, they usually say it's anarchy or it's the old west,
yeah,
which
yeah.
then they are wrong. Then they are wrong in both cases. But
They
so
do
they
it
say,
on purpose because they
yeah,
know what anarchy it really is.
yes.
It has nothing to do with chaos. The
Yes, but they
rulers,
say the internet is it's like there's not much control over it. You have all these people selling drugs and maybe even guns and then pedophiles and it's all online and we need to the message is constantly that online is it's bad because there's not very much control and regulation, and then they say, oh, the Russians have all these hackers and hacking capabilities, and the Chinese too, and the Houthis, God knows what they can do, and the people in Gaza, when they're not getting bombed, they they are hacking computers
it
and
was
planning
fucking
all sorts of mischief towards us, the enlightened people here in the West. So I mean, the signs are all there. Then there was a revolt in New Caledonia. That's a French colony, basically
French colony, yeah,
in Oceania.
Oceania,
Oceania.
yeah, Oceania, yeah.
And they said that they were saying that it was started with a cyber attack on government infrastructures. So I mean, the signs are there that they're gonna pull something like this. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's not it's gonna be the end of like civilization, and you're not gonna have energy or the internet or light anymore. No, they're gonna have to give it to you back again at certain conditions, obviously, and because they can't.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna be total chaos, and even them they can't rule, and they'll have the situation going out of control, which they don't want. However, they want localized and temporary situations of chaos. So the
It's funny,
cutting, yeah. And if you cut the energy now in these days, it's like you said in Spain happened during the day, but that's the same thing, because if you cut the energy now, it's like the sun never came up at dawn on the horizon. It's like
Okay.
even if it's daylight, it's like it's gonna be night. So just imagine what that's gonna do to people, and then people will
Exactly.
beg. People will guess who are they going to beg? Their god.
Mommy and daddy government. Oh, mommy and
Exactly.
daddy government.
And that's the
Who
and
need
that's
help
what
from
they'll.
you. Like the good obedient slaves that they are.
Yes,
That's
yes, and
why.
that's how it's gonna play out. If it happens that way, as I said, I don't know exactly how it's gonna be in the details, but if it happens that way, then you're gonna have people. They're gonna beg government to do something and restore, gave us our life blood back, gave us all these things back. So that's what they're gonna do. They're just gonna and then they believe whatever they'll be told. Like if they said it's gonna be a cyber attack, they'll believe
Like
it.
the NPC.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and then you're gonna have the alternative media putting a lot of nonsense as well. Some of them may get it right, but
No, the alternative people will say that it's the fault of the environmentalist agenda and the green energy grid that failed, and now they're blaming on. They're probably gonna say that, and nobody, many people won't believe them anyway. They'll say they're conspiracy theorists or the usual stuff. So,
ah,
and then we're gonna probably come out of it with a regulated, completely regulated internet. You're gonna have to identify probably to get in, and and I don't know, maybe even if they go on with their especially with their environmentalist agenda, we're gonna see some nasty things happening in the West also. So keep that in mind. So not too much that again is gonna be just total chaos, and even the rulers lose control, but not that way. But I don't know, man. If you, yeah, as I said, if they'll have their way, dark times ahead that I don't even want to imagine. So
people that open, nobody will come try to, if anybody dares to break in my house. Oh my God. What would you? I know what you would do. Are you prepared? You do some prepping. No.
I I have some contingency plans, as much as I can do, because it's difficult, because people think I'm crazy and everything, but they really think that this really not nothing bad is really gonna happen. But yeah, after the blackout, yeah, I started thinking about having at least something more, not to be like dead on day one, sort of, not to go not to be on queue, waiting for my rations at the supermarket, maybe with maybe under maybe presided by the army or whatever.
Like the communists.
Yeah.
Ah.
So at least, yeah, my suggestion is at least have something, have some reserves. I mean, not for like doomsday, prepping, because I mean, if it's doomsday, everybody's gonna die, and that's pretty much it. But
Yeah.
like at least for the initial period, if there's gonna be like an initial period of a bit more chaos and stuff, so
I
to
think
be a
they
little.
prepare. It's coming. War is coming. Within, I reckon it's gonna happen at the end of the year, going on next year. Now they're
Yeah, I mean,
setting the stage up. Pakistan, India, Israel, the Zionist entity against Iran regime, theocratic regime. And then you have China invading Taiwan, Russia against NATO. They don't still don't get it. It's all planned. They control both sides. Those are evil gangsters. The people idiots. They still, the Russia and the Chinese are the good guy. The Iran are, no, folks. Like the fucking yeah.
yeah, I mean, what as I said, I don't think it's gonna be like a total, like like a world war, like it was, because I mean, today is gonna be way too destructive,
Yeah, they know
and
they're
they'll
gonna
have the.
minimize it, yeah.
Yes, there's
But
probably
it's gonna be
still
bad.
gonna.
Gonna be bad.
The consequences, yes, because they're gonna have the all the consequences of a war economy, and then in war, governments are simply gonna have
Too
to
much power, yeah.
special, yeah, all this special power. Like we see that with the pandemic. Just imagine if they wanna completely go on a war economy because somebody might do something, or the Russians might attack NATO, which they're not gonna do it that way, but they have all these proxy wars in the Middle East and in Africa that are fighting. It's like basically like a 1984 society
Yeah, George
where they
Orwell, yeah.
where they are fighting each other in Africa and in the Middle East, while they have and tyranny and all sorts of destructive things for freedom inside their own countries. So and we're basically already in that situation, and I think it's just gonna get worse from here on.
Right.
Uh,
That's why I don't wanna I'm very even reluctant to have any children, to bring any children to the world, because this world is too much, it's too wicked, this planet. It's too wicked. It's too much evil going on.
yeah,
It's
man, I don't know.
frustrating.
Yeah, maybe if sometimes, because I mean they would already have especially the green agenda, they would already have everything in place now. Sometimes they get delayed a little bit. And I think that's the best we can hope for, that they get at least a little bit somewhat of a delay, and then they don't do it exactly 100% as they wanted to. I think that's the only slight, like the only uh, slither of hope that we can have for the immediate future. But other than that, I don't see it going in a in a good direction. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's frustrating. Yeah. Yes. Ask me a few questions. What would you think about talk about the polarizing dialectics in the society, or this nonsensical agenda, the communist agenda, cultural Marxist agenda, all the disinformation in the alternative media, people reacting to and they getting their dialectic, blaming all that on a group of people. The Jews is just the Jews, just Israel,
Well,
just the
I think
Palestine, all of that.
yeah, I think that's there are two main problems when it comes to alternative circles, and one is the political side, or political and even economical side. You know, politics and economics, and people who tend to be stuck into politics, as I said, and they bring people back into voting and into believing in politicians. And that's one side, and the other side is really the new age the new age side of things, because those are the main two directions in which the alternative communities are going. So you either back into politics or believing new age nonsense.
Exactly.
And
Nonsense.
I've witnessed, yeah, in the like the last few years, I've witnessed a lot of that. You know, both sides of the both sides of the alternative community, if you want to call it that. So there's a lot of, yeah. On the other side, there's a ton of new age beliefs and things that doesn't no don't make any sense. They should be already debunked.
Exactly.
For all time, but instead people go back because they recycle. They're good in recycling themselves. Even new ageism is very good because today hardly anybody will admit their new age because they don't call themselves. It doesn't call they don't call themselves that way anymore. And there's a lot of pseudo scientific nonsense that they try to legitimize it with some pseudoscience,
Yeah.
like all this abuse of like quantum stuff. That yes, there was a legitimate research in like the quantum physics and stuff, but then it really went new age like very quickly,
Yeah.
and that's an abuse term. All this like quantum stuff and all this
Now, Satanists give
uh,
you that. The scientists,
and all this
so-called scientists.
yeah, other things that maybe there's a special year that we're gonna wait, and then the vibrations will shift, and then the people, I don't know, people will awaken all of a sudden, and then we're gonna have like this sudden enlightenment, and everything's gonna go, everything's gonna be fine, and and we're gonna have free energy all of a sudden, and we're gonna have like I know that there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of nonsense going around, and in like people don't have their feet on the ground. I think because I know there's people just want to hope in something, especially when they see a very dark situation arising, or the prospect of a very dark situation
Future,
that
yeah, situation, yeah.
future and that's happening and or can happen. They tend to go into some people go into the desperation, some into paranoia, some into, and some just want to hope that some magical thing is going to happen, and everything will be solved. And New Age, thrives on all that, and all the people that tend to have those sentiments, they gravitate toward New Ageism, and
Yeah, like the mindset of a naive slaves. They're
yeah,
operating
yeah,
with the worldview of naivete, and they have a right brain schism worldview and right brain imbalance, which is the mindset of
yeah.
of all the religionists. Somehow you see the so-called crazy Christian rapture lunatics to talk about, oh, you don't have to worry about nothing. Jesus is gonna come down. He's coming down for the second time, and he's gonna the so-called rapture, the so-called Christian Zionists. I mean, okay, well, And then they're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
find out that none of that. When they're gonna find out that none of that is happening, that it's all part of the plan for the creation of the world government. Then they're gonna crap their pants off. They'll realize that when they all happen, when it will all happen, then they're gonna realize, oh, maybe I should have done something instead of hoping, begging for a savior. But they'll never get it because they're fucking NPC slaves, useless eater, trash. A lot of them. Sorry for the harsh language, but I had to say it, to be quite honest.
yeah. I mean, since 2020, especially, I've been pretty harsh. I've been pretty harsh in my judgment of people. uh,
Yeah.
so uh, people say some people, some people say I could say I'm exaggerating, but I really don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, sometimes I just think people are just too dumb to realize anything. So
Yeah, it's frustrating,
it is,
Francesco.
yes.
Sometimes you think I'm thinking myself, why bother? Why bother to do anything? You know, any podcast, any video, any views, put it. But I think of myself, I don't even do it for the people. I do it because it's the truth, because of the truth, because it's true and it's moral. It's a moral obligation to do something when there is evil and injustice going on around me and people that's involved in the people I care about. You can't just sitting. You can just sit around and do nothing. Be an armchair quarterback. Like people, they all that's the keyboard warrior, the coward that they are, the keyboard warriors. I leoni da tastiera in Italian. They're all writing down. Oh, you should be doing this. This one. Why don't you? Why are you interviewing this guy? This guy is a shield. This. Oh no. Instead of and then you just go. You just going to see search the profile and everything. You see they have no subscribers. You don't know the no information about them, and you ask them what are you doing, and then they never answer you back. Oh, okay, because the trash that they are, quite frankly, they're all sitting around writing nonsense about how people should be doing something instead of them doing something. You know, there's evil and injustice. How about you doing something? Look at me, you, not me, not Francesco or other content creators. You, okay? Instead of criticizing the work of other people, okay? Instead of criticizing the work of other people, why don't you do something? Thinking that you know better, okay? It wants to write crap on my videos under my video, okay? Instead of you doing something, eh? And then everybody shuts up. Then when you're asking them that, they're a bunch of cowards. They're creating these fake names, uh, aliases. Instead of put your real name out. If you are a real man, if you are a real man, if you're not a coward, if you're a real man, put your name on it. Put your face on it. Look at me. Put your face out there. But they won't do that because the bunch of low life trash clowns. That's what they are. And
Well,
then the bunch of tough guys, the tough guys. And this is the mindset the alternative media and the people, the so-called truth seeker, have in order to fight evil and slavery. Man, please, let's be real. Bunch of cowards. You can say everything about me or Francesco, but you can't tell us that we are cowards or we're pussies or we're afraid of anything because we're putting our faces on. Okay, we're not backing up. We're not backtracking of anything. We're just doing the right thing, putting our faces out. Which a lot of people are a bunch of cowards. They won't do that. They want all the people, people other than themselves to do something. What would you say about that? Sorry for the rant, little rant that I
No,
have.
no problem. No problem, man.
What would you
Well,
say?
I'd say that there's a problem with wanting immediate results, I think. And sometimes this deters people from maybe speaking out more and ultimately, as you said, you have to do this for basically for to honor the truth in a time where truth is not truth is dishonored, and there's not and this is not a world based in truth. We don't hold that as a value. In fact, many people think that it doesn't even exist. So you have to do that for the truth, to get the truth out, and that's basically your task. So it's not really to have. Yeah, I know it's very frustrating when you put in so much work, and I only remember all the nights translating and subtitling all these long presentations and seminars and stuff, and then you get nothing, or close to nothing in terms of viewership and just yeah you're yeah basically yes, you're not viewed very much, if at all, especially at the beginning, but now a little bit more. But I mean, only I'm getting slightly better views on only a few videos, and it's this just and it just recently though. So it's been like 7 years, and just recently some content, not even all, like just a few videos get like 1,000 something views in like 7 years. So, and the other videos are like still 20, 30, 50, 70. So yeah, I understand that that might frustrate people,
Yeah, of course.
and of course it
Because
will
we
do, because
deserve better. Because we're doing it because for not doing for us because it's the right thing to do. Like I said, there's evil and tyranny going on. It's like my house burning on fire, and I'm sitting there doing nothing, not calling, not calling any firefighters or emergency or doing nothing, just let it burn. Instead of, I mean, that's what people, the bunch of cowards, people who think who say they know something about what's going on, you know?
yeah, yeah, I wanted to say, yeah, there is the impression. I had this impression many times that I'm just talking to the wall, basically talking to no one. However, I try to persist, and because it's the right. I think I have interesting. I've contributed to share, especially to the non-English speaking community, or basically the Italian, the Italians, basically,
Yeah,
to share
uh,
some important work that was never done by anybody in Italian, and I'm the first one and only one in many cases to have done it. So that's kind of already a badge of honor, even though sometimes it feels that it has little to no effect. Almost pretty much down to almost zero effect. But I still take pride in it.
yeah, of course.
So I think that what I want to say for people, that it's like, if you're looking for motivation just in the in terms of like viewership or that people are going to listen to you. That's the wrong motivation, I think, because you're gonna give up pretty soon with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially if you talk about real things and truthful and how things really are.
You really are, of
If
course.
you get into maybe political in the political arena, maybe you'll have more success on that side. But if you get into things that are very important and that really matters for freedom, for true freedom, then you just have to be prepared to talk to the wall sometimes. So or many
Yeah,
times. So
many
if
times.
that's your only motivation, it's that people are gonna see your work and agree with you
Then most
and
people won't
and
won't do that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, most people won't even won't even know what your won't even never look at your work. It might even happen, but I think the motivation is do the right thing because that's something that needs to be done, especially in these tyrannical times, and that has to be the main motivation. No, be in the service of truth. So
Yeah, it's where you're on point. What you're saying. It's it's frustrating, the mindset of statism, which is a mindset of slavery. People still don't understand the government is slavery. They all want to talk about the point of view of the symptoms. They want to talk about the symptoms of the problem. Oh my God, we need better this working condition. We need a better system of slavery. That's what they're advocating. Slavery States are slavery supporters and slavery advocates. Period. They don't do nothing else. They're advocating for human slavery. Okay, you are evil. You are violent. You. Look at me. Look at me at the camera. You, statists out there. You. Okay. You. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me at the camera. Violent and violent person. They support the conceptual idea of government. They support government. This immoral entity called government. That somehow we need rulers to survive. They somehow they justify the legitimacy of government. That somehow we need to live under a government system, and we need to have rulers to live. You are more trash. You are an evil and violent person. Okay, you need more scum. Okay, that's you. Look at the people at the camera. Look at me well on the camera. Okay, because quite frankly, I'm tired. You hear the nonsense in the turn the media. I mean, it's just frustrating, and they think they know something. They haven't look at into any of the of information that about anarchy or the occult or actual true knowledge. They want to say, "Oh, that's nonsense." Have you looking into any of this? No, they haven't. So what's the point? They want to beg the mommy and daddy government for your freedom and safety. You're an immoral piece of garbage if you advocating for government. You're not my friend. To be quite frankly, to be to be quite frank, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. To be honest, you're a violence supporter. You believe in violence. That's what you do if you're a statist. You're an
and they don't
evil
wanna and they
person.
don't wanna hear it. They
And
don't
I
wanna hear
can't do
it.
a debate with anybody. And I'm gonna make you look stupid. Okay, you think the government is necessary, it's legitimate. That we somehow need to be slaves. We should be living under rulership and governmental system, as if we are slaves, as if it's normal. Fucking trash. A lot of
Yes.
them. 99% of the people think that way.
But what about
Unfortunately, I
human?
cannot do not much about it because most of the people, the zombies, the NPCs, slaves, known as human beings, believe in this shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what about human nature, Axel? It's we if we are
Nature,
without
oh no!
if we are if we are without government, human nature will just prevail, and we'll all kill each other. You know.
Yeah, as if that's a new. This is the flawed mindset that the religion institution and the so-called Darwinian evolution is trash and the religion is trash. You don't understand the bio-Trinitarian dialect when it comes to the human origin or human nature, not understanding that we are programmable species. It's very simple. That is why we have a functioning brain. That is why we have the functioning brain as the function that it does as a human.
We should have it. we
We
should
should have it
we
because
should have.
we are a fucking programmable species. Unless you're a psychopath who has not the who is not capable of experience the full range of emotion of human emotion, then if you're an actual reptilian and evil psychopath, then which is less than 0.1 0.0001% of the human population that is like that. Okay, the serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer or the evil psychopath who are ruling this planet. Other than
Yeah.
that, most human beings are programmable
There's
species.
yeah, but there's worse people than that, and they usually work for government.
Work the government, yeah. The society is moving to a primary psychopathic society because of people, because of the agenda that is happening now, and because of people believing this so-called nonsensical entity ideology called statism, and also the so-called secular and the so-called materialistic society that everybody wants to do anything for money, that kind of suppresses the moral uh, compass, that forces people to go outside the moral compass, you know.
Morality is relative.
Morality, yeah.
Everybody,
That's why people
every culture,
this
every
this
culture has its own traditions. So,
yeah.
if it might be good for, it might be moral for me and immoral for you. So that's all
Fuck.
right.
I mean, there's somehow, oh, because if we live under without government, if we're living in an anarchist society, oh, you see that you're gonna see the true human nature. First of all, that is not true because humans are programmable. This is how you know the person is an NPC brainwashed idiot who doesn't even know that human nature is programmed, that we cannot live in a free society, an actual free society, because human nature is that we're all born all bad, we're all evil, we're all selfish. No, the system of slavery forces people to be that way. Okay, and also having shitty parents, not teaching actual moral values. That's why we have a lot of immoral trash walking down the streets. Okay, it's not because humans are born that way. It's because people are brainwashed and programmed to be that way, like the good obedient slaves that they are. That should be common sense. It's not that difficult to understand all of this.
Yeah, yeah. We wouldn't be in this situation if it was common sense, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it's common sense. It's easy. I mean, you can talk about, but you're gonna end up banging your head against the wall, and it creates a lot of frustration and anger because of all of this. Because I care about all of this. It's not because I'm doing it, because I know all of this. I spent 2 years and still doing now, watching videos. You have no idea how many books I'm reading, how much how much research and information I'm gathering, you know, and processing it. processing it. You have no idea. Podcast after podcast and everything, you know, because it's not possible. And people look at me, you out there, you selfish little brats out there, thinking that
We are
it's not
talking to you.
important to stand up to evil and injustice. You look at me very well, the camera, okay? Look at me, okay? You're gonna be held accountable when you leave this domain of existence for the injustice that you allow to exist, that you allow to exist, not doing anything to stop it. Okay, you think it's gonna be all lovely and colored glass and roses when you leave this domain of existence? You think you're gonna go somewhere better than here? Let me repeat that last part. Okay, that's all I have to say. You'll find out. You will find out. You think there was all evil, genocide, suffering, and you didn't bother to do anything, and it was all normal. Oh, no, you cared about your selfish little comfort. You will find out. You will find out. That's all I have to say. What would you? We got
Yeah, I
10
mean,
minutes, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
we have to understand that, um, like heaven and hell are not like a an afterlife. Are not something that's gonna really happen in an afterlife. It's happening right now. So we are creating a hell on this planet, and our future our future generations are gonna live in a hell. Basically,
Yeah,
you're gonna condemn them to hell,
exactly. Heaven and hell.
and it's hell in most places. It's hell right now. So we are still a little bit insulated. Some people in some places, but we are creating a hell basically. So and we can create. The frustrating thing is that we could create way better conditions. We could do way better than we're doing now. So that's not impossible. That's potentially possible, but we're actually going into hell instead. So
Yeah. And then they don't even think about all of this. They have fucking children. They're shutting children out of the fucking cons. Okay. And they just, oh, let me pop another child out of my pond. They don't even think about the future. You think you better of real men and women, true revolutionary, real anarchists, freedom advocates stand up and put an end to this shit. Because other than that, you're gonna experience abject slavery. Overt slavery is gonna be so painful that it's gonna be so bad that people will wish to die, but they won't be able to. There is a pass in the Bible, in the Matthew book.
yes,
It talks about this. You selling look at me, you selling your children to slavery, and you don't even care about, you don't even think about this. You're selling your own kind.
yeah, you wishing to die, but not wish for death and not receiving it.
Yeah, wish to death by not receiving it. Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you think that it's just a metaphor? It's just an allegory that it's
no, no,
mentioning. It's what's gonna happen,
yes, yeah,
but
I
you're not
agree.
gonna like it.
Yes, I agree.
Uh, you're gonna cry. You wanna run away to another fucking planet. You're a coward. Then instead of ending injustice on this planet, putting your face out, speaking the truth, putting your real name, and be a real man, a real woman, But instead of doing that, is a coward adding from a keyboard. It's frustrating, You know what I'm saying, Francesco?
Oh yes,
I don't know how
absolutely.
I don't know how I can tell this to people. Ah,
Yeah, it's tough, man.
it's tough.
Tough.
Yeah. People think it's normal, that it's all moral. No, there is no more in any of this. You got that? It's I don't know what you say. It's what would you say?
Well, I pretty much, yeah, I just pretty much said what I wanted to say, basically. So,
Yeah. Well, okay, we're gonna wrap it up now. If you can tell people where they can find you and
yeah,
everything.
well, I've got a website that's called Monarchia Interiore, and yeah, it means internal monarchy, and it's in Italian, but I have many videos that are subtitled, so they are in English, and so yeah, I think many people, yeah, even if you don't, if you speak English, you can understand most of the material I have. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right.
Thank you for having me again, man.
No problem. Absolutely, it was a pleasure to interview you. We're probably gonna do more. I'm probably gonna have you um, on the show again pretty soon. So
Okay, yeah.
next time, within weeks, I'm gonna interview a very special guest, very good guest.
You
So
had yeah,
yeah, I already spoke
You had
with
Mark
this
Passio on,
person.
right?
Uh,
Mm,
yeah, it's
mm,
interesting.
yeah,
Let me end the
cool.
recording. See you later, folks. See you next time. Take care.